everybody. This is a new episode of Altcoins Anonymous. I don't know exactly which number this one is because we have had some other episodes that have not been released but have been recorded. So this is going to be a new episode. I'm not sure what the number is, but I think it's 6 or 7 or something. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's also a live walk-home stream / whatever podcast. I'm running down the steps from my train right now as I cross the highway from the Manhattan into the Bronx. But I figure I'd do a little Altcoins Anonymous little recap of today's little event. I may be a little sloshed up. There was some alcohol that was had tonight. I didn't get too smashed, but, normally these little tidbits, I'm also freezing my balls off, so if you hear me shivering, I'm not crying, boys and girls, it's just I'm cold as fucking tits right now. But, you may hear me slur my words. I also may not release this little gem of a podcast, but if it comes out good, I'll let it be. That being said, let's get on with the content here. Today was a very, very special day. We got to hang out at the Rare as Fuck Rarefied Art Expo in New York City today. I got to finally meet some very, very influential voices within the crypto sphere, and I was very happy with the event. It was a lot of fun. It turned into a little bit of a shit show, but oh my god, man. It's just... It's wonderful to see Bitcoin live and seeing how fucking dumb people are, because that was quite the event. But I'll get into that in a little bit. I just want to first off and say I met some really cool people today. Finally, I met Dan Anderson, the infamous Droplister. That was a lot of fun. I was hanging out with Shaun Apps from Junseth's world. That was a lot of fun. We got to spend some time, hung out at some bars, had a few drinks, talked some shit. I pumped Monero. They told me I'm retarded. Same old, babies. Bitcoin, that's how we roll. I met some other cool people. I met Yumbo, I think. Yumbo, my man Yumbo. I met Theo Goodman. What's up, Theo Goodman? How you doing? You were slouched, and I love it. That was awesome. And I met this dude, Dan, who is brand new to Bitcoin. I'm crossing the street right now I'm jaywalking. I met this dude, Dan, who's brand new to Bitcoin, and I'll be honest, that was, kind of how my night started. So, I got to the expo about 4:15, 4:30. It ended about 5:30. But the first thing I saw was the Archetype.mx or whatever it is, the shit that the first thing I talked about on this show, or one of the first things I talked about on this show. Legitimate. Oh wow, this might be way too difficult to hear me. I'm literally walking across a very, very trafficked area. Hopefully you guys can hear me. If this doesn't come through, that's fine, but hopefully this is a nice little introduction to New York City for you guys. This is my walk home. So anyway, we got to see, I pretty much only made it for the Archetype.mx presentation, and for the most part, they didn't really explain shit. They kind of were just talking about they showed the practicality of Archetype, which is essentially you can create your own artwork, drag and drop it into their little web portal, and that will basically put your meme or rarefied digital asset on the Archetype blockchain, which is run on Ethereum. And I've already covered it in other shows. You've heard my disdain for the thought process behind it, but I really can't hate on these dudes. Honestly, I don't really hate the guys from Archetype that much. I do think it's a bullshit project. I do think it's kind of like a Pepe ripoff, but these guys obviously are they know what's going on. They seem to be deep into Pepe. The way that they raised money was with an auction of rare Pepe assets that would go to the Archetype developmental team, and holy shit, did they fucking raise a lot of money. I mean, they raised upwards of they probably raised somewhere between 75 and 100 grand at least, US dollars. They did an auction in Pepe Cash for certain Pepe cards, rare Pepes. The highest selling Pepe card was a rare Homer Simpson Pepe, and that sold for about 40 grand USD. I think it sold for, it was either 200 or 350, it was like 250,000 Pepe Cash. So whatever that is in USD, it was a lot. It basically was 40,000 USD. One of a kind Homer Simpson Pepe. But I don't know what the fuck people are doing buying this shit. Like, Archetype doesn't do anything different from any of the other blockchains that already utilize like rarefied assets, but people just really want those Pepes. And a lot of the funny thing is, there was also the Archetype. I'm kind of jumbled, as always. That's what you get from this podcast. But they also auctioned off a CryptoKitty, and somebody who was bidding very large amounts had no fucking clue about CryptoKitties. It seemed like, or maybe I'm mistaken, but he asked if the CryptoKitty was one of a kind. And from my understanding, all the CryptoKitties are one of a kind. That's the point of CryptoKitties. There's not a quantifiable amount of the same type of CryptoKitty. Each one is unique and individual, and owning that is the reason why you create more wealth on the blockchain by a random event of sexing them. I forgot what the term is called, but you sex them up, and then sometimes you get a real rare one with jaguar print and horns and a fucking tinfoil hat or some shit, and a penguin fucking outfit or something. I don't know, bow tie. But I mean, that's how you, like, there's no duplicate assets. But anyway, so the guy who auctioned or like bid like 180,000 fucking Pepe Cash on one of these things, like, asked the question, like, wait, is this the only one though? And I was like, holy shit, like, this guy has no fucking idea about what he just bid on. He's literally just fucking buying it because, like, other people are buying it. And, like, who's to say that the auction itself, that there was no Confederates, once again, I'm jaywalking right now, that there was no Confederates inside of the auction. Like, that was not a regulated auction by any means. Yet, there was at least somewhere between $75,000 and $100,000 of money that was like auctioned off, or rare assets. So I don't know. It's a really interesting thing. Like, I don't know if the venue itself was aware that there was going to be an auction. I certainly wasn't. I was going there expecting that there was going to be a presentation. And it turns out they closed the event early, and I don't know if it was because of the auction or not. We were kind of talking about this, but it seemed to correlate that, like, they actually had a few other lots of Archetype that they were trying to get rid of. Or not Archetype, but Archetype is raising money with rare Pepe cards for their project. So they actually had a few other auctions that they were going to do, and the event organizer was like, nah, you guys are done. This is a scam, and it's time to go. That's one perception. I don't know if that's exactly what happened, but it kind of makes sense. Now, I was looking into it on Google, and I don't really know if this really makes sense or not, but at least from what I understand, there's nothing illegal about running an auction, or a private auction or anything like that. Now, that being said, the venue that held the event probably, if they knew that they were running an auction, would have wanted a cut or something of some sort. Now, on top of that, there is something that I know definitely illegal happened. Archetype, from my understanding, does not own a bit license. So this has been live recorded, and I have a feeling Archetype will be legally responsible for this once it becomes publicized and well known. But they were distributing Pepe cards in an exchange format in New York State, which is highly legal unless you own a bit license. So, I mean, I don't think they thought about that, and I think they committed a serious crime there. I don't know if people are talking about it or even know or even realize at this point, but if anybody wants to call the fucking IRS on the Archetype dudes, I have a feeling you might have a case. But I'm not suggesting you should do that, nor would I promote behavior like that. nor would I not promote behavior like that. I just don't know what the correct situation is, and I thought it was a little interesting that they were fucking making like probably $100,000. They were, I don't know if they were expecting to get as much as they did, but I think they got what they came for, essentially. Like they probably weren't expecting that much, but like they did think it was going to be possible. And like I'm not going to hate the Archetype guys. Like, let them do their due. I think they didn't skirt the law. I think they actually completely broke it in New York State, and they probably will be legally liable at this point. But aside from that, the dude's smirking the whole time, and he's fucking making hundreds. There's only 2 fucking developers for Archetype, so like basically these guys just got paid $100,000 to have a presentation where they told us nothing about their product and literally just auctioned off Rare Pepe, which is a counterparty asset. Like, that has nothing to do with fucking Archetype at all. Oh, he did actually give 50,000 Archetype tokens, but to sweeten the pot, somebody says, like, I'll give you 40,000 for this Pepe card, or Pepe Cash for this Pepe card, but you gotta give me something else. He's like, I'll give you Archetype. So obviously Archetype's worth shit. I mean, it's stupid. I mean, like, even like this question, even me talking about this is like a waste of time. But I do think that there's some interesting things that happened because of that. And now it's really a question of like these were not nominal amounts. So I know that, like, and honestly, like, I was actually talking with a tax attorney the other day about, like, what the fuck is a nominal amount? Like, what is a nominal amount? Like, because that's pretty strong language that's used in the bit license. And it's not really clearly defined. And apparently it's not clearly defined because it's not supposed to be clearly defined. It's supposed to be up for interpretation. People are supposed to get sued over it, and they're supposed to figure it out in the law. Now, I don't know if that's really how law works, but that's what I was told. And it seemed kind of plausible. But once again, like, I don't know. But anyway, I think Archetype really committed a huge crime. They're probably going to be liable for that. I don't know if it will be brought to public light, but I'm not going to be secretive about the fact that I witnessed that. I thought it was stupid when I saw it. That was not the reason why I went to that event. And the fact that it occurred was probably one of the most funniest things I've seen. Actually, that's probably the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Now that I think about it, like, literally, I saw a robbery occur. Like, these guys stole money from people. These guys stole $100,000, and it was like in this weird gray area of legality. The only illegal part of it was the fact that they did it in New York State. So, like, I don't know, man. Like, I think they were onto something, but I think they fucked up. I don't know if they're from New York State or not, but I think they made a huge mistake there. I'm harping on this more so now. I'm getting a little excited about it, but I do think it's interesting. Anyway, that being said, so like I had mentioned, the event itself had ended about 5 or 4. Was it 5:30 or 5 o'clock? It ended pretty quickly. Like, I was only there for the Archetype discussion, and after the Archetype discussion, they closed shop, and we were supposed to be there for at least another hour, I think. I feel like I got there around 4, so I think it probably ended around about 5. They closed at 5 instead of 6. So I really wasn't even there that long. But anyway, they closed that. I think it was because of the auction. Other people at least mentioned that to me, and I think that is a very good theory to why they ended the entire event. Because, like I said, it seemed as if there were going to be other lots that were going to be auctioned off. Also, that's not the reason why we were there in the first place. It wasn't supposed to be a public auction. No one was ever notified of that, from my understanding. It was cute. It was fun. But we did also see someone get, like, a few people get scammed. And clearly they had no idea what they were buying. Like, a few of them had no idea. And they were pumping the price. So if there was also any Confederates on top of that were pumping the price along with them, like, that was a dangerous environment to be in if you believe in Pepe Cash or whatever type of stupid cryptocurrency you believe in. But in any case, let me try to catch this gate here. Okay, I'm all good. All right, I guess we're going to wrap this episode up pretty quickly, but I think we kind of covered most of it. Archetype ran a fucking scam auction, and I hung out with Dan and Shaun, and it was a lot of fun. And that was my first Bitcoin event, and I had the most fun I've ever had at any event ever, and I can't wait for the next one. And apparently they're going to be doing another one 6 months from now. I'll definitely be coming earlier for that one. And yeah, it's nice to be a part of the community. I really appreciate you guys for tuning in and listening. And what else? What else? Oh, I guess there is a lot more to that. Like, we ended up going to the bar. That was going to be the preface to how I met Dan, who seemed to be a cool guy, a new dude. in the cryptocurrency sphere. He's trying to do good things. He might not understand what that exactly means yet, but we're going to work with him, and we're going to see what we can do and see if we can make a change for the better in the world. Now, people think I think people think I'm bullshitting when I talk about this stuff, but I actually have like an incentive to not support Bitcoin. And I was having this discussion with Dan and Shaun and other people. I've had this has been my argument from the beginning, is that SHA-256 is a useless waste of engineering. And so we need to stop making SHA-256 miners and make miners that really mirror the capability of technology, rather than make technology that make software that mirrors the capability of making technology that mirrors the capability of software is less important than making technology or making software that mirrors the capability of technology. I hope that makes sense. But I think that's a really important thing in Bitcoin that we don't really talk about, and maybe we won't talk about, and maybe it's because people are Bitcoin maximalists, and maybe because Bitcoin just works and we don't need it, and maybe because Bitcoin's 9 years old and there's nothing to even think about at this point. But I'm not a proponent of this longest chain bullshit argument. I think Bitcoin is easily replaceable, and I think that Bitcoin's replaceability revolves a lot around liquidity, and we see that currently with Bitcoin Cash and the threat of Bitcoin Cash and its adoption by Coinbase. Maybe that's not true globally, but I do think it's a really interesting point. But I mean, we're all just new here. Like, I mean, as much time as I spent in the cryptocurrency sphere, I feel like every day is new, and like there's still so much more information to learn. I think that's important, that like you have to have this sense of irony, because like there's no controlling any of this stuff. Like, apparently people just like it, and that's why we do it. And there's no better answer than that. It's just other people enjoy it, and so the value goes up. I just don't know if that's the way I want to validate its existence. Okay, I'm wrapping it up. There might be a part 2 of this, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. I'll be catching you guys soon. Bonsoir, everybody. Have a good one.